Are we alive? Okay, we are live. All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, good evening, good evening. It's been a little minute. Let's get to work. And let me share my screen here. Oh, let me make sure. Let me move you on over here. Share screen. Yes, and yes. All right. You will do that. All right. Now we're good, I think. All right. So let's get to work. So basically what we're going to be doing is uh attaching pipelines and using workspaces. So what does that mean? So instead of along with using our Pi agent harness to run our entire team, we're also going to be running workspaces. So what does that mean? So workspace, as you can see here, I have a workspace called Architect Workspace. This corresponds to an agent harness called the Architect. It's on GitHub. It's the link is somewhere around here. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Probably not. Not that one. Not that one, which is the same link, by the way. But anyways, I lost the link. But it's a GitHub repo, and basically, what it does, it allows. It's a framework for brainstorming, planning, extensive planning, all of that stuff, right? So we're going to make that part of our pipeline. So right now, what we're going to do is there is a game that we got from X. I hate when Windows 11 does this, by the way, that automatic grouping. It's a very simple matter of fact. Let's just go ahead and play it. So in our solutions or references, sort by type, it's a single. See, this is what I'm talking about. Got to do it again. All right. So basically, it's a very simple Mario type of game done all in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Shout out to the creator. I did not originally create this. It's long Japanese name. I apologize. So basically, kind of like your Mario clone. This was done completely in one shot with Opus 48 or 4.8. We'll just play a little bit. Now, if you were to do this, of course, I'm doing this on keyboard. I'm not doing this on the pad. Let me just keep it simple. Um, yes, you could do this. I don't know how easy it would be to do it on Unity or on Game Maker on Real, because there are courses that you can find online to do that. But this was one shot. Like all the graphics and everything was created from Opus. All the user had to do is prompt this. Sound effects, everything. I'll just go a little bit more. I got clumsy fingers. Is that the end of the stage? Okay, that was quick. All right, that's it. Single file, HTML file, no other dependencies. You can close this on out. Everything stored in just this one HTML file. Half a meg per level. What I want to do, and yes, we could crack open the source code and take a look, but I want my team of agents to create an entire game as this kind of like as a scaffold, right? So use this as a framework, and we'll build around that using nothing but HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, or whatever else that they have in there. They may have some other dependencies. Again, I haven't cracked open the source code because I don't want to do that. Along with that, along with the source code, we're also going to add this make your own Mario style game in Unity. This is a course. And what we're going to do is we're going to take all the what didn't I? What are you talking about? Using Unity 6, please go blah 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 blah. Okay. So basically, we're going to use the transcripts along with these other course or these additional resources, and we're going to make a new game as the other game as a scaffold. Okay. So what are we going to use as our pipelines? We're going to let me bring up this folder here. So our brainstorm swarm. So this is step one, right? So coming up with our prompt, we're going to use, we have this HTML5 game, and we want to create a new game from that, right? So this is step one. How do we create a new game from the old one, along with the course? Casual, how's it going? I had no clue why this channel was in my feed. When did you change the name? I didn't change the name. I didn't change my name. Hold on, wait a minute. Hold on. Because I know YouTube didn't do that. Hold on. Let me just make sure. Oh, I'm logged into my other account. Okay. So I'm using this is one of my other channels, casual. Da, 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 da. So my other account is running point, and hold on, let me log into that. I forgot that I had. Let me move that over here. I forgot that I had an actual channel on this account. Never used it. Maybe I did use it like once, like 5 to 6 years ago. Uh, where are you here? Give me a second, guys. Just gotta log in off screen here. And then where are you? Come on. There we go. I think password is still 75 characters. Hold on, I gotta do 2FA. Bear with me. Yes, it's me. All right. And here. Okay. And then that and that. Okay. Now we're good. I apologize about that. The backup channel had a different name. Yeah. Yeah, I've actually got a few channels that's been dead for almost a decade. But anyways, thank you for coming, casual. All right, so the first step is the brainstorm swarm. We have a team of agents. I did have like the entire team of like the DeepSeek, the Kimmy, Minimax, all of that. I cut that down for the brainstorm pipeline because those are lesser than models, or not as good as Gemini, Anthropic, and OpenAI models. They have their place, but the research, and the experimentation pipelines are not it. Um, I only use those for like the verify swarm, which is where we do like the building, the testing, the verification, the regression testing, all that other stuff. blah blah blah. Right. Everything else is Anthropic or Opus 48 specifically. GPT 5.5, 55 for shorthand, and Gemini 3.1 Pro, 31p for short, or 31F for the fast mode. Okay, so from our prompt, so we're setting up our project folders here. So our project folder is going to be the simple platformer, which is this folder here, right? And then all of these other folders and these variables correspond to that project folder. The actual game is in the references folder. What we're going to do is we're going to reverse engineer this game and build another um, using this project along with this course. And then we'll do get here. I don't know, as inspiration. Uh, you only need or only get or only ingest the transcripts or well, all non-video files from the course. And now, how do we want to start? We kind of have to order it. We don't have a skill. Well, we actually do have a pipeline that launches all of the other pipelines. We call this the master swarm, right? So the master swarm launches brainstorm, and then it goes in the research swarm, and then experiment, and then finally verify. Research Feynman, it's that's another pipeline. And what that does, it's supposedly better. It uses auto research. Is that the name of the project? No, it uses its own sort of code base, but it uses auto research on the back end. But it has a lot more agent harnessing on top of agent or on auto research, right? So even though it's two different instances of auto research, this one has a lot more harnessing, and I like that one better. Okay, so now we want to, and I'm gonna. This is from a uh, different project. Just keeping that as kind of like a scaffold in case if I need something from there. So we're going to start with the brainstorm swarm pipeline, and we actually do have a skill for this. I built that earlier today. Um, where is that? It is here. Basically, an interface. All that does tells the agent how to interact with the pipeline. I can't stay long, so please don't private this video till Monday. Yeah. Um, pipeline interface brainstorm swarm. Uh, then we're going to move to the what's after brainstorm? Is it research? It is research. So then, do I not have? Now I could have sworn. Hold on. That's experiment swarm, and all I was doing here was updating the roster for our agent teams here. Uh, that's okay. We should be fine as far as not having a skill. We just have to point to the folder, and the agent will do the rest. Um, okay, that's fine. Then we're going to move to the research Feynman swarm. And I'll have to give it the folder since we don't have a skill. If we had a skill, we could just, directly invoke the skill. But since we don't, we have to give it the absolute path of the folder. Then we're going to move on to actually no, brainstorm swarm. Then we're going launch the architect. Forgot about that part. And this is kind of like a first time production test for all of these together. So we'll see how they integrate together. Um, don't need the absolute path. And then we'll do that. Skill. Move on. And then we're going to move on to the, was it experiment, brainstorm, research, experiment, swarm, which is also only um, uh, Codex 5.5 and Gemini 3.1 Pro with Opus 4.8 as the orchestrator. And then move on to the experiment swarm pipeline. And we have to give the absolute path for that. I think well, we already have the runway MCP server. We're going to do that while we let this cook because this is going to take a while. Experiment swarm. Then finally, the verify swarm pipeline. And then we give the folder for that as well. Okay. Final solutions. We'll go in the, and then we'll put that here. Give this folder. Well, we already have that here. I just want to reiterate that here. We can delete this. Here are the requirements. Find a solution. We can delete that. Place all temp, cc pi, replace. Yep. All we could delete that. And I think we're good to go. I mean, we're missing. I really don't want to guide this. I just want to see what it comes up with as a kind of like a first run with this research Feynman swarm. And then, with our skills and everything else. Okay. All right. So let's get going. So we're going to CD into this project folder here, our simple platformer folder. All right. And then we're going to YOLO mode with Claude. We're going to use 4.8, of course. And then we're going to change the effort to max. Now these filthy animals took away Sonnet Opus 4.7. It was there earlier today. They took it away. That's okay though. Filthy animals. All right. So we have our prompt. And let's get cooking. While that's cooking, we're going to start another project. We're going to make this a skill, which launches the MCP server. This is going to be for our runway Um, and I was gonna work on LLM Council. We'll do that another time. Okay. Interface architect. Okay, I guess I didn't. Um, let's call this interface runaway AI. All right, and then we're gonna take our templates here, kind of like our folders and files, starter pack. Gonna paste them in there, and then we're gonna do the same thing here. We'll call this a simple platformer game. We can let me do this just in case. We'll close this. Auto research, we're going to keep. Offline Explorer, I forgot what I was even using that for. Oh, that's for another, for scraping, stuff like that. Offline Explorer. All right. And we'll close that on out. All right. So from here, interface runway.ai, zoom in here, YOLO mode, yes. And we'll change our model effort to max with 4.8. And then we'll just ask a simple question. I know that there's an MCP server, but I don't want to go looking for it. We're just going to have the agent launch agents, web agents, to go look for the information. I hear there's an MCP server for runway AI. Uh, launch a few web agents to look for that information. I want to create an interface skill, and we'll just call it. We don't actually need this. Um, you know what? No, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Because the MCP server is the interface, but that's okay. An interface on top of an interface is okay. We'll call this interface runway AI. All right, and then we'll let that go. All right, let's see where we're at here. Oh boy. Oh, buddy. What are you doing? All right, so you've laid out a 5 pipeline plan, brainstorm, architect, Feynman, experiment, verify. Yes, you explicitly asked to start with a brainstorm. Yep. I'll execute the brainstorm. So now we have 5 pipelines. 5. Now, in each one of these pipelines has a team, with the exception of the architect. That only uses Opus 4.8. But the rest of these, each pipeline has a team of agents working. Explicitly started, blah blah blah. Execute the brainstorm. To write isn't available. To do right. That's interesting. Let me resolve the config and run pre-flight. Okay. Config 1, yes. So all it is, these are just preliminary checks before we even get into things. Check 5, Gemini model is unset. And again, the great thing about using agents, if there's any mistakes, they'll correct them. And if I need a second opinion, then I can just shift this over to Codex 5.5 on maximum effort, and it will catch all, well, not all of them, but some of the blind spots that 48 has, and vice versa. Hair dog, blah, blah, blah. So these are all, again, your check engine stuff. Yep, all good. Brain adopted. And these are the roles that our brainstorm swarm has. Each role is assigned to a team, or excuse me, each role is assigned to an agent. So you see here, the framer is Codex, ideators is Codex. And remember, the brainstorm swarm, I only have Codex 5.5 max effort, and then like Gemini, either 3.1 Pro or 3.1 Flash, right? So I've only limited those two models because in the brainstorm phase, I don't want like poor model performance. Frontier only. Yep. 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 So far, so good. And now it's looking through the course files. Two key findings: the actual game is a single HTML file. Yep, that is correct. Uh-huh. Now I have the picture. Let me categorize both sources precisely. This is our game. And from our Japanese author here. And then of course our course, how to make a Mario game in Unity. I didn't say I wanted the game in HTML only. I should have said that because I don't have Unity on here. The file is very long, minified lanes or lines. That's okay. Exactly suspected lines to embedded sprite classes. Okay. Don't care about any of this unless it's a blocker. Target stack. Okay, so it did ask me. All right, it's a good thing that I asked because I forgot to say it. The reference games is self-contained, HTML5, Canvas, JavaScript platformer. The course teaches Unity. All right, so we want our final deliverable as an HTML5. So we're going to hit enter. How polished should the new game be? What is the build target, the pipelines draft forward? Feature parity clone, core MVP first, clone plus original twist. I don't know what they mean by a feature parity clone. Um, so I'll just clarify here, I think. Um, I want the new game to be feature rich, but builds on top of the original. Reference game. But builds. And I hate that when I do the chat with chat about this, it breaks out of that because I actually like that. Hey Mu, do you have any YouTube channels or Udemy courses to learn this in detail? Specifically what I'm doing? No. No. Basically what I'm doing is I'm using several teams of agents to reverse engineer a game and to build on top of it. So the simple game, and I'll show it again. The simple game, we call it simple today. It wasn't so simple 40 years ago. Here, here, and here. So it's a single HTML file, 5 file, right? And I'll just jump on top of here. I don't know where the agent is going to take me. I just want them to add on to it. It could be anything. It could be add guns, add more villains, add more levels, whatever, right? This is more of a proof of concept of all of my pipelines being able to work together. And yeah, that's about it. Whatever the team of agents do, because it's was it five pipelines, so 5 teams. No, it's 4 pipelines, so 4 teams times 3 each. So I don't know, 2025 ish sort of people. It depends on how many agents gets assigned on the uh execution or the verified swarm. When we start building code and stuff like that. But yeah, that is the goal, right? Do something with this game. I don't know. I haven't specified what to do. All I've said is I want my final deliverable to be an HTML5 game. That's it. And what we're doing is we're using a Unity course to kind of like give it more information. I haven't told it to spawn like 20 web pages to go on the web. I just want to see what it does with that information. I didn't even port it to my Obsidian Vault, which is what I should have done as well, but that's okay. Okay, feature rich building on top of the reference game. Where should the new features come from? Okay, so the reference game already has three hit points health or 3 HP. So what's that? 3 health, 3 hearts. Let me see if I can zoom out. Nope, that doesn't matter. I can't zoom in though. So that's covering it. That's a little annoying. Uh, so this is where we define where should the new features come from. Has 3 HP health, score coins, star power, snail enemy spikes, breakable, bonus blocks, one hand. Often I don't know where even the sprites. These sprites are probably stored somewhere. Again, I haven't looked open, cracked open. Matter of fact, let's just go in and do that. Let's just take a peek at the source code. I'm so lazy and I've been used to coding with agents for half a year now. It's like, do I really have to look at the source code? I guess. All right, let's take a look. All right, standard stuff. Background, body, wrap, title bar. Yep. Um, nothing special there. I didn't know HTML5 can do this out the box. I didn't know it could do that. That's crazy. Top buttons. Yep. I forgot what I was even looking for, but oh, I'm looking for sprites. All right, so our buttons, our overlays, controls, font family, touch controls. These are our teach out flex background. I mean, these has to be sprites, right? Because they're not drawing these characters in real time. There's no way that's happening. If these characters are being drawn in real time, and I don't think it is, I don't. You see this character? It could be, guys. This character could be drawn in real time. The character is moving here. It's animating. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm rusty on my front end stuff. Title bar, yeah. Yeah. I'm not going through all this because I just looked at the side scroll here. I don't care. Let the agent do it. I'll ask. Feature rich, star power, snail enemy spikes, breakable bonus, one hand authored level, menus, and synth audio. Okay. And okay, so let's say if we do have to create new sprites, then now we do have to kind of get our runway MCP running because that's going to be our image generator. Let's see, runway AI MCP. More on that later. Course-driven extensions. Add what the Unity course teaches about the reference game lacks or does. I don't know. Genre deepening. Um, yeah, let's do that. Meta progression, add systems around the core loop, save, load, persist to high scores. Sure, let's do that. A level editor. Oh, really? Settings, accessibility options. Let the swarm decide. Yeah. Um, movement spikes. Yeah, let's do that too. Why not? Let's just go crazy. Stress test the hell out of this. Now, this will probably take an hour or two to cook, and we'll work on our runway MCP and other stuff while we wait. Um, yeah, just add, yeah, add a bunch of mm, spawn a lot of enemies. I can't spell today. Enemies as well, on every level, as if this will be a super hard mode. I don't know. Okay, given that the new game builds on top of the existing reference engine, so the core architecture is largely inherited, what should the first brainstorm diverge on? I don't know. I have no idea. Uh an hour is 2026. No, but it has to go through all the pipelines though. It has to go through all of them. And each pipeline, with the exception of research, it's we're running a team. Feature slate plus roadmap. What should this first brainstorm diverge on? Whole game vision, two phase. Vision and then features. I'm leaning towards three. That's okay. We'll go with one. Okay. All right, back to runway. All right, so what should interface runway actually talk to runway? The research found two official servers, an official REST API SDK. Really? This is the core architecture decision? Oh, really? I didn't know Runway had an official API. Because if it has an API, we can just create a CLI and not worry about all the overhead from the MCP. Well, I thought there wasn't an official API slash SDK. Let's explore that. Um, but I think there may be a catch, API cost, etc. Um, so keep the MCP route on the back burner. To answer your question, Mr. Marr, you just have to experiment. Um, a lot of experimentation. For me, when I'm approaching with like what I can do with agents, I'm just thinking how big can I go? So like we all start at kind of like the I don't know, level one phase where you use like a chat bot and you're basically using it as like a search engine, and then you move up to, I don't know, creating like simple web pages, front end web pages. Then let's create a game or let's create an app or whatever, right? And that requires a code base. You get your GitHub ready. Then you start learning about hosting with like Vercel or GitHub Pages or what have you. By the way, there is a Vercel CLI that your agent can use to host your web applications for free through the CLI. So you don't have to learn about hosting anymore. That's out the window. Just have your agent say, I want to host my web page on Vercel. And you have a skill that launches the CLI. You don't even need to learn how to use the CLI. Just have a skill. I want to create a skill that interfaces with the Vercel CLI. And then you just launch the skill. The skill launches the CLI, and the CLI does, well, with the agent, does all the hosting. It may ask you questions about like different configurations or whatever. And if you don't understand, you can have the agent break it down for you. But it's so easy. so easy to get started with web development, game development, all of that stuff. I don't have Unity installed on here. If I did have Unity installed on this computer, then I might no, actually no, I wouldn't, because I don't want to add additional complexity. I'm so rusty in my Unity. I will one day, but not today. What capabilities should the skill cover in V1? Runway spans a lot of surface area. Core visual generator, text to image, image to video, text to video. So yes. Video editing, audio, voice suite. No, just the core. Um, we can add features later, but we'll just start out with something simple just to get something running. All right, back to our simple platformer. Okay. Oh no, no, no! Please don't freeze on me. Okay. All right, where we're at? We are. I see all this that it printed out. Is this mostly local? It is all local, with the exception of the agent. All of this is local. And when open source models catch up to the commercial models, I am done with Anthropic. I'm done with OpenAI. Done with Gemini, even though they offer their model for free. Um, Open source models are very good. They're better than what the commercial models were uh, a year ago. Absolutely, but it's just not there yet, right? We haven't reached that point with open source models where it's like, okay, this is good enough forever, right? So it's not like if all the companies shut down shop is it's fine because open source models are more than enough to take us home. Kind of like the TI 1080 graphics card from Nvidia, right? It's damn near 10 years old, but it's still a very, very good graphics card. Anyways, that's a clear steer, feature rich, built on top of the blah 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 stack, HTML, HTML, Canvas, JavaScript. Yep, scope the reference game. I don't care about any of this locked in. So this is kind spawns a lot of enemies at every level. Blah blah blah. And again, I don't really care until they get around to the design and the specification phase. Capture, and again, I'm just letting the agent do most of the driving here. Capture and shape done. Brainstorm.md is written. Okay. Yep. 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 All that's good. Now render the YAML. Right team YAML. So we're getting our team organized here for the brainstorming. Sentinel pass. Blah blah blah. Now dispatch the framer. I'll read the prompt file, content, and build. So same thing here. Um, we're going to be using the Pi agent harness to run the brainstorm swarm. And again, we're only using Codex and Gemini. Okay. All right, where are we at with Runway? All right, given the API costs real money from Credit One, yeah, and the MCP route is to use my existing Runway plan, yeah, we're going to be using the MCP. I kind of figured that. Um, for the API, it's a no, no, we're going to be using using the MCP server with our OAuth. Yep, yep, yep. I mean, we could create our own unauthorized sort of API, which is what I was prepared to do tonight. Just intercept the request and the responses using like Postman or whatever, man in the middle uh, sort of software to intercept both ends, and then just replicate that through like a CLI. But we don't have to. They announced the MCP server a couple of days ago, and we're gonna use that. We'll deal with the overhead because it's only one MCP server, and that's not a big deal. The big deal is when you have like 20 and 30 and 50 MCP servers. That's where you have a major problem. Okay, the runaway MCP isn't registered in your environment yet. Only Higgsfield is. How should the skill handle discovering handling the runaway tools, giving their exact blah blah blah? Um, Matter of fact, let's just look this up. So, runway AI MCP server. All right. And let's go ahead and log in. Let me do this really quick, guys. Oh, it automatically logged me in. Never mind. How do we get there? Let me try that again. Okay, it was there right in front of my face. Okay, connect. Go to Claude, customize. All right, and we're going to do this. So I will register. Let's register it now. The address is okay. Should the skill include a free flight? Yes, always. Always, always, always do proper checks before launching into it. And I don't know if this will work with the unlimited plan, meaning we may have to use credits. Hopefully not. Hicksfield doesn't have that. Well, Hicksfield is Hicksfield. I'm not paying $400 a month to generate some images and videos. That doesn't make any sense. Not for me. I don't use it that much, or next to ever, unless it's like for thumbnail stuff. Anyways, so that's our connection string. Complete, blah, generate images and videos. Yep. Create marketing, make dialogues. Yep. Just tell what it needs. Yeah. Yep. Okay. What agents can connect? What models can it use? Your models can use CDance 20, Kling. It didn't say Kling 30. Gen 4.5, which is their own model, which is trash. VL, GPT Image 2, good. Nano Banana, blah, blah, blah. They could pick a model for you. You can ask for a specific ones. How are they built? MCP uses your runaway credits. No. God damn it. No. I haven't used any of my credits. I actually have to. Well, it's not a bad thing. This isn't a bad thing because I only got 1 day left, anyways. My birthday's tomorrow, by the way. I only have 1 day left, I think. Hold on, let me check. Let me check that. Let me check that. Whenever you're ready. What are we doing? No? Nothing? All right, let's try it. Let's try it from here. Just gonna sit there and look at me. Please? No? Nothing? Nada? All right, let's see. It renews tomorrow. Okay, so this is not a bad thing because I got to use these points. I forgot that I had to. I just remembered. How many points do I have? No. Apps. Let me see if I remember this correctly. How many credits? Yeah, I haven't used any credits. So I've got to use all of these today. I'm taking requests, guys. If you have any images that you want generated, we can do that. I'll upload it into the Google Drive and then share the link. I have 24 hours to use all these credits. And no, I'm not going to generate with them with video. Because with videos, with like 16 on at 1080, it's only like six or seven videos. So it's just going to be images. Thank you, Mr. Marr. All right, let's see where we're at. We have our connection starting for runway. Let's see. The connector is registered, but reports need authentication. Needs you to complete the all runway. There's interactive browser flow. I can't do for you. Please just do type MCP in the prompt. Select runway. Okay, I got you. I may actually have to restart the session, and I do. Let's do this. And we'll do this, and we'll do that, just in case. And we'll copy this string here. We'll close that out. We don't need that. And then we'll call this runway. Okay. So now we have we just need to restart the session now. And we can pick up where we left off. MCP. Hopefully it'll show up. And it does. And authenticate and allow. Hello? No, we have to do it the old fashioned way. All right, that's cool. All right, continue the runway. I don't know why I have to log in again, but okay, whatever. I allow access. And that should be all she wrote. Okay. And we're going to change our model effort again. All right. MCP server registered and authenticated. I can't spell it. That's okay. One thing about having agents pick up the spelling, I've gotten really lazy in my spelling. That might bite me in the ass one day. All right, let's see where we're at with the platformer. All right, so are we still in the brainstorm phase? We are. So this is still in pipeline phase one, the first pipeline. That's okay. I don't know what they're cooking up. I basically said, with the exception of spawning a lot more enemies, you decide. And all the files here, like the temp, prompt critic, and all the other stuff, that stuff gets stored. Where is it? Pi? File, CCG, temp. Yeah, all of this goodness. And all of this was configured in our original prompt in these folders up here. Right? Should I come back in an hour? It may be longer. I may actually have to start up a third project because the MCP won't take so long because I'm not running a team on this. All right, so now let me present the design. I'll go section by section. Interface runway, a Claude Code skill. Now, again, if you're using an agent for an MCP server, you do not need an interface skill, unless you want an agent to kind of like drive the MCP server itself, as opposed to you doing it. So, what does that mean? It means like if I wanted to integrate this as part of kind of like my 5-stage pipelines, and the simple platformer game, I would say launch this interface runway skill. Again, you don't need to do it. You could easily say launch the runway MCP for that instance, and then use such and such model. Let's say if I want to use GPT image 2.0 and generate some sprites, you could do that as well. And then this interface runway skill is completely unnecessary, as you can call the MCP directly. But I like to clean things up a little bit, so on and so forth. A Claude Code skill that turns a session into a driver, blah, blah, blah. All right, that's fine. This is the first skill in your machine that drives an MCP server. Yeah. And that's because it's unnecessary, as I said before. You can call the MCP server directly. This is all syntactic sugar, completely unnecessary. No hard-coded tool names as pros in pros. Well, let me take that back. Because with the skill, you could have kind of like your default image generators, image and video generator. So if you don't specify, so in your skill front matter, you could say like, use GPT image 2.0 for images and use CDance 2.0 as default for your videos, right? And so now when you're in Cloud Code or Cloud Code CLI, you can say generate this image and generate this video, and then the skill will. You don't have to explicitly say the models because your front matter will automatically um, default to those models. So you could do that, kind of like setting defaults and stuff like that, and preferences like aspect ratio and quality and stuff like that. Does this framing look right? No hard coded tool, naming the pros in the contract, but since we registered, blah blah blah. I don't really care. Um, present design for interface. Yes, that's fine. And this is the brainstorming skill from the superpowers repo from Claude directly or from Anthropic directly. Um, I forgot the name of the repo. I think it's Claude.ai skills or whatever. Uh, just look that up on Google, whatever, right? Brainstorming skills, or Claude Code superpowers, um, GitHub repo, something like that. Okay. Note the negative triggers explicitly carve out blah blah blah. Note the negative triggers explicitly carve out Higgsfield generate, image to storyboard. So this doesn't collide with the sibling generation. I see what it's saying because now I have two skills that generates images. Um, use the references split is good. Keep it. Uh, negative skills because I don't want this to get in the way of Higgsfield. Because I am going to use Higgsfield again when they have a special. Um, let's see. Matching Higgsfield, richer shape. Uh, user will specify uh, which skill to use for image generation, image and video generation. I forgot what it was asking me, but yeah, this is going to be a while. Codex actually wrote a 12,699 byte scorecard from the timeout fired. Where am I at with my usage on my Codex? Let me see. I only have the $20 subscription model, but I have been hammering on it for a while, and you can't see it from there. All right. I have to actually open this up. %91. Okay. And it resets. Yeah, that's not bad. We're good. And Gemini, I have been well, I'm on the $20 uh model with Gemini. I have been running through usage like crazy with that. Let me see. Let me see. We can close this on out. Well, we can close those too. So I've noticed, I don't know if this timer has been running. Well, it's certainly been longer than 300 seconds or whatever it is. So I'm gonna assume it was at 97. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so it only runs while the window is active. Okay, cool. All right. And we go to model. Oh, oof. Now I do have redundancy on each pipeline, with the exception of no, the Pi extension has redundancy, meaning that if I run out of usage on the Pro model, this 3.1 Pro model here, then it will fall back to Flash and then Flashlight, and then I don't know what is this. I don't know what models this is. Is this 3.1 Flash? It could be through 1.1 Flash, in which case it would go from Pro to 3.1 Flash, and then Flash. This is 3.0, and then Flashlight. Um, I don't have access to 3.5 because that's only through API, and I'm not going to pay for that because I have Opus 48 to pick up the slack. Matter of fact, how much? Just out of curiosity, how much? 4.8. It's only $50. This is suspicious because 4.7 is 150 for $150 per million output tokens. And you're telling me a better model is cheaper? This may be like an introductory price, maybe. And then like in a month, this is gonna shoot up to like 200 for API calls. But you know, whatever. I haven't tried out 37 Max yet. Haven't. I may put something on the Open Router account to launch that. Matter of fact, where am I at? I'm at negative 18 cents. I don't know how I got the negative 18 cents, but okay. What was I looking for? We were looking for a Gemini 3.5 Flash. $9. Okay. All right. All right. That's not bad. That's not bad. Okay. Let's see. All right. So, how should the skill content be organized on disk? Skill. And this is plus references, call them all models ratios. That's fine. How thoroughly should the skill document the model lineup? Given model changes over time, document, verify at runtime. Document everything in detail as it is now, most immediately useful, but still, yeah, I don't want that because I do want them to verify at runtime. Okay. And we're still on pipeline number one, our brainstorm swarm here. I told you it's going to take like a couple hours to cook, at least. Let's see the workflow logic. I'm not going to ship it to 55 GPT 5.5 because it's just a skill. A very thin layer skill at that. So we'll just let it rock. Yes, and of course we are going to. Oh crap! I forgot to put. Oh, hold on. One thing. We want all image or all content generations, image, audio, video, etc., to be placed in the so let's say project root, project roots, solutions. It's kind of like it follows my template here. So all output files goes in the solution files. So so let's assume that this was a project folder. I have all my projects folders the same way in terms of folder layout, and this comes from our templates here. I do want all outputs to go in our solutions, whether it's software or plugins or skills or content in this instance. Um, Solution folder. Nowhere else. Yeah, I do want that to be a part of the skill. I think I have to do the same thing with the Hicksfield skill as well. Tell them to send you your 18 cents. No, I think Mr. Mar, I think I owe them 18 cents. I owe them 18 cents. I am curious about 37 Max. I've heard nothing but great things about 37 Max. What is Project Root for the download path? The skill needs an unambiguous rule for the solutions. Okay, so is asking me to give it an example, in other words. So if we were to say, so let's assume our project folder was this, right? The output downloads path would be this, and then backslash underscore solutions. Now, as far as how it does this part, I don't care, as long as it gets it right. And I know it could do it because I've done this many times in terms of with Pi extensions and with other skills as well. How should the skill handle the solutions folder download file names? We're going to auto create solutions if it's missing, even though it won't be, but we want that rule in there anyways. Always download, never just link. Every succeeded generation is downloaded to. That is correct. I'm not gonna worry about subfolders because then now I would have to kind of like give it rules for how it determines like subfolders are based on project names and runway, and what happens if the runway MCP doesn't offer that. No, I will manage that manually. That's fine. Echo both path and source URL. After download, report the local solutions path and note the original runway URL expires in 24 hours. Um, in case they want to grab a higher res and re-download, that's fair. Descriptive timestamp, the name files like runway tool, short slug from prompt, task ID extension. So outputs are self-identifying and never collide. Real-time stamps aren't available in sessions. This is fine, I guess. I don't really care about the file names too much because we could just one shot it with Flash Renamer anyways. Um, and I work in project mindset anyways. Echo both path and source URL. I do want that. Um, I'm thinking if I want to have the source URL as part of the video or image or audio metadata. Uh, hmm. You know what? That's fine because this is just going to the console. I'm not tripping on that. And again, if we need to change anything, then we can just make the modifications to our skill. We're still brainstorming. The artifact contract check failed on a missing skill runbook JSON, not on any deliverable. That's because I drove the bridge directly rather than through team workflows. That's okay. Where are we on usage when it comes to 48? We have plenty. Yeah, we're still at 13%. Even though it's only Opus 4.8 for the brainstorm. No, I take that back. That would be for the wait. Research is only Codex and Gemini. There was one of these. Oh, Architect is only Opus. That's right. Don't need. We don't need. We don't need a team for thinking. Once we already have like the ideas from the brainstorm pipeline, we don't need a team to kind of like scour over one or more solutions that they come up with. Brainstorm Swarm also runs on top of auto research. So basically you give it a task and you give it a way of scoring it, and auto research will keep iterating in a loop until it achieves a certain score. So brainstorming here, I don't know how it's scored. I've left that up to 48 to decide, and then once the team comes up with ideas that is higher than said score, then that's what it sends back. Brainstorm is done. How do you want to proceed? Launch the architect. Review the slate first. One thing worth flagging is the rest of the chain. The credit codex hit the 300 process timeout. And its Gemini model override fallback errored with agent not available. Oh boy, this is not so good. A team manager override path limitation. Gemini dispatch is fine with an YAML, but not. I worked around it by redispatching codecs with a reconciled prompt for the downstream pipelines. Experiment verify. If any nodes need to fall back. See, this is another thing about Gemini. It works when it wants to, and when it doesn't, it doesn't. Um, the slate is strong and converged. The critic and synthesizer agreed closely, and the roadmap is dependency sound. I don't think another brainstorm round would add much. This is ready to hand to the architect. Okay. All right. Per your master plan, the next stage is the architect. Okay. So again, the architect is a workspace that runs on a Beyonce server inside of a Docker container. All right, let's see how this goes. This is really where we'll see if this holds up or if it falls apart. Now, I did test the architect workspace by itself, but not any sort of integration testing with any other pipelines like ingesting or handoffs. We'll see how that goes. Okay, how do you verify the skill works? Note a real end-to-end test spins your runaway credits. Yes, we are. Live smoke test, dry run, full eval suite, skill creator. The formal skill creator loop 2 to 3 eval prompts run by sub agents. No, we only gonna do one. It's a very small skill. Yeah. And it should put it in the skills solutions folder. Crumblim, how's it going? Zoom out and help me understand what is you're exactly trying to do with these agents, please. Okay. All right. So he must have just came in. All right. So what I'm doing is I am going to reverse engineer this game. Not reverse engineer, but there has to be some sort of reverse engineering. And then what we're going to do is I've told the agent what I want is for you to spawn a lot more enemies. Right outside of that, you can decide to do whatever you want, but I do want a lot more features. Maybe a lot is I don't think I said a lot, but whatever you decide to do, of course I did. Whatever you decide to do in terms of features, edits, whatever, have at it. You have no limitations for me. I just need a lot more enemies on the screen. That's it. So that's what we're doing. And then the Runway MCP server, that's just a separate project. I have a feeling that we may use that project or that skill, which calls the Runway MCP server to generate some more sprites for this game. And again, the implementation, I don't really care as long as it works. Yeah, that's what we're doing. And this was one-shotted by some Japanese guy on X, and he did it with 4.8. Single HTML file with no other dependencies, no huge project with 500 megabytes in assets. It's only one level, sure, but usually there's like a ton of other dependencies that you have to set up. And it's just nice to see that you're welcome. And it's just nice to see, a whole we've gotten things down to one file. You can play a pretty good game out the box. Now, how much you can make on Steam, I have no idea. There was this game, well, like a little pudge. I forgot the name. name of the game, but it was like a very simple platformer game with like a little pug dog. I got like, I don't know, like 10 years ago. And it was like 40 something games, and they were simple games. But I don't know how much that user made, but I would imagine like quite a bit. They were pretty they were highly rated because they were simple, but we can do that now. I mean, we always could if you really study. He wants to put Goku in the game. Let me find out this agent put Goku in this game. No, if the agent, if 48 and the team decides to put a gun, give this character a gun or a different character or Goku or whatever, then sure. I just need more enemies on the screen. I don't know how many it's going to give me, but yeah, that's what we're working on. All right, so the runway MCP is currently registered at local project scope, only works inside the interface. Okay, the skill is meant to be used from any project. How should we scope the connector? Promote to user scope. Yes. Keep local project scope. Leave it private to the interface. Runway skill only works when invoked from there. It's asking me this because that's how I do a lot of my projects. Just use the absolute path because I don't like having a lot of skills in my uh, skills folder, right? Because all of these get loaded up um, at the beginning when you start your Cloud Code CLI session. And while yes, these are a lot cheaper than MCPs, these add up too. So these are the skills I have in production. These skills, these are the skills I don't. So 46 versus 28. 28 is still a lot, but I use all of these. I use all of these reverse engineering. Orca CLI, we'll have to reevaluate. I haven't used a notebook LM skill in a while, but whatever. Yeah, the runway MCP is currently registered, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we'll promote it. We're going to promote using syslink. This way, we don't need to do a whole bunch. We don't have to copy and paste whenever we make any changes to our skill. We could just make our changes to a skill and it will auto update. Um, to user scope. Activate the skill by sim linking, and this is what I just asked. Yes, create the sim link. Okay, back to platformer. All right, so project root resolution, the only project marker found is a package.json in your home directory. An ancestor, but not this project. Project root resolution. The actual project is simple platformer, current working directory. Where should the blueprint be written? Yes, this is how I have it. The simple platformer, architect plan. Yes, that's what I want. Yep, 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 yep. Everything stays in the project folder. I do not want file assets being strewn all over the hard drive. That is no bueno. Even temporary scripts. I want everything because with the temporary scripts, we can put that into our Obsidian Vault, and then we can um, compound that into different skills and agents and stuff like that. Nothing goes to waste. Okay, I've adopted a brain. Now I'm now the architect, and again, the architect is Opus 4.8. New operating rules, planning only, blah, blah, blah. Let's confirm my read architect. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. So hopefully this doesn't take too long. And we're 35 minutes in. And we're on our second pipeline. Second of five. Runway is going. We haven't, it's still working that out. All right. And do I have another project I could get started on? Let me see. There are some other things I need to get done, agent wise. Brainstorm, architect, auto research. Go on a production test with a few of our skills. No, we're already doing a production test. The whole enchilada. Let's see. And then, like I was saying before, with our experiment swarm pipeline, we were just updating the roster with only Gemini and Codex. Because again, we don't want like the lesser models to add variance to our tests. So when it comes to building and testing and stuff like that, we only want like the best of the best. And 48 will be our orchestrator. Opus 4.8 will always be our orchestrator to to Codex and Gemini models. So it's 48 as the orchestrator and 55 and 31p as the team leads. And again, 55 is GPT 5.5 and 31p is Gemini 3.1 Pro. Okay. I do need to create skills. You know what? Let's work on the LLM Council skill. Yeah, let's work on that. So the LLM Council is a skill actually downloaded from the internet. I'm about to go to sleep. Please leave the stream up so I can see you in the morning. Yep. Good night. Thank you for coming. But yeah, it's gonna be a while. Tomorrow. I might be here till 5. I won't be here till 5. 'Cause I'm tired myself. The reference game is a single 1100 line HTML file, one big IIFE. The fuck does that mean? The slate adds 26 features across 6 clusters. How should the code base be structured? Modular ES modules. Keep single file, grow it. Modular dev, single file, ship. Oh, do I want? Do I want a 10,000 line file? I don't want a 10,000 line file. Modular dev, single file ship. Yeah, let's try that. Um, how should the new game treat the original reference file in its embedded sprite atlas? Actually, extract to asset files, reuse procedural. Yeah, let's do that. Reuse procedural placeholder. Reuse plus procedural placeholder. Oh, assets atlas PNG plus atlas.json. Easier to add new sprites, biomes, but needs files served together, not a single portable. That's right. That's right. Um, hmm. Keep Atlas source 64. Reuse embedded Atlas as is. You know what? I think here's what we're gonna do. This is a bad idea. I want to see if we can continue or to keep up the single file. Um, and if it doesn't, then we'll just have to we'll just reassign. Um, we'll just reassign to separate files. The Slate's roadmap is 5 phases. Phase 0 per foundation. Phase 4, meta, where should this... Okay, so this is our phases for my brainstorm swarm. Where should this blueprint build order cover? All five. The entire enchilada. We're not skimping. We're not doing any of that. Okay. And then the runway. Are we done? Here's the full picture. Runway, research first, 4 parallel web agents. Wait, did I ask for that? I know you're used to me doing this step. I didn't ask for this. Confirm runway ships and official. Oh no, our official MCP plus hosted. Critically, the research decisions you made would exist now. Build against real schemas, not guesses. Smoke test passed. Activated. You can now invoke it. One note on the skill, create a path. We did a single. Okay. All right. So, did it generate an image? So we go back here. So this is our skill, and then go to solutions. All right. So it did generate an image, and it works. So we now know our MCP server works. All right. So let's set some defaults for our skill. For images, we're going to default to GPT image 2.0, 9:16 aspect ratio. Yeah, for videos, we'll default to C Dance 2.0, 9:16 again. For social media, aspect ratio 15 seconds, length 720p resolution. Yeah. And then what we can do at that point, sensible defaults to bake in. Let me verify each. GPT image model is GPT image 2. Yep, confirm available in the workspace, but does it support 9:16? Image ratios are strings and model dependent. 9:16 is the right format. Need the actual portrait, blah, blah, blah. Let me pull the extract. Constraints, yes. What does this mean when we have something like this? So at this point, we can have our agent just generate a whole bunch of stuff. We can create our prompts and stuff on client side, and then we just have our MCP server generate the content. We don't actually have to go back to the website from anymore if we don't want to. I would, but we don't have to. And then our images are automatically downloaded in the correct place. We don't have to click on each downloaded image anymore. So yeah, this is AI flop at scale. All right, I'm gonna use the bathroom, guys. I'll be right back. Oh, hold on. Let me answer these. Confirm the overall architecture above. I'm not gonna run this by 55 because I want to see how it does without it. Logic units, manual smoke. Testing rigor for the blueprint. How should the builder be required to test? Well, test-driven development throughout is usually the correct answer. Logic units plus manual smoke. All right. Usually when I ship it to 55, it answers those questions. But again, we'll see. So we're bypassing the brainstorm skill in place of the architect. I have everything. Most registered skills are web marketing oriented and don't apply to the Canvas game. The relevant ones for the build are run and browser test, playwright CLI. Okay. All right, guys, I'll be right back. All right, guys, we're back. Sorry about that. All right, so hold on, let me check my mic. Okay, there we are. All right, so the architect is done, blueprint written. Next thing you plan is the research find form. How do you want to proceed? Uh, let's see. Only has web product archetypes. A canvas game fits none. I designed directly from the reference engine. That's okay. That's all right. I understand. The architect was really based around like web technologies. That's fine. Now we can create a fork of the architect for like specifically for gaming and have like 48 kind of guide us through that if we wanted to. We won't, but it's there. Now I understand Feynman research Feynman swarm. Okay. And so now we have kind of like our game plan. Again, I don't know, and I'm not going to read through all this. That's the blueprint there. Simple platform. And matter of fact, let's take a peek. Taking a peek won't hurt. Architect, and we set up that file 37K. Okay, of course, of course. Generated browser game, extending the existing platformer into a feature-rich, deliberately punishing super hard platformer that builds on top. All right. Preserve and reviews the reference engines systems. Okay. Vanilla JavaScript, Canvas 2D. All right. I like it. Has all the file. Damn, that's a lot of files. Damn. All right. 3 levels? Says level 3. Save schema. All right. Spawn.js. I can't wait for this to come out. And no, I won't. I'll open source this. I'm not grimy like that. Take someone's open source. This well, it is open source because he left a link to the Claude artifact, and then you could just download the HTML file from there. Is built for AI. Again, another pipeline that's not built for gaming, which is understandable. It's built for AI ML paper research. Its actions target archives, scaling laws, attention. Our project is a Canvas platformer. What should this research stage actually investigate? Um, you know what? That should have been something. Yeah. We'll chat about this, and then we'll use the alternative research um, swarm because that makes sense. We'll use the original research swarm pipeline for the research phase, but mirror the team found in research Feynman swarm. pipeline, which is just 55, 31P, and 31F. That's a clean resolution. Yep. I could make it more general. Nah. Structurally identical to brainstorm swarm. Yep. There we go. All right, let's work on the default. The only default I can't fully verify from docs is C dance's portrait ratio. 720 by 1280, the authoritative table behind a 403 page. It's inferred from Runaway's other model, which all use a string for. I run 1 5-second video ad. Okay, sure. 1 5-second video is not going to hurt too bad. Let me see how many credits we have left. Hopefully, I can pull that from the MCP2. So 100-ish. All right. And I'm going to let this cook until 2. And then we'll pick it up on Sunday. Because this is going to take too long. Reality check the Pi worker models have no live web access here. I simply store stage sources via web. Yes. I forgot about that. I didn't update it. Because usually I would my other pipelines I have it to where if C or X and G isn't running, then use web agents. The orchestrator uses the web agents instead as a fallback, which we have to make those changes. All good though. All right. So for our LLM console project here. All right. So we'll CD into it. And we'll go YOLO mode, of course. All right. And then it will change the effort to max. And so what this does, this repo assigns a team. So the way we have it now is we just have it to where Codex 5.5 or 55 looks over 48's work, right? This will assign a team more than just 55 to look over 48's work. So and we can and then once we set this up and attach a skill to it or a custom command, we can assign a custom command to it. So it would be some like / and then some like LLM council or something like that, right? And we could just press enter and then do that. Which will probably yeah. Well, I'm still thinking if I want this as a skill. Yeah, I want it as a skill because I want to assign it to different parts of different workflows and custom commands. I mean, yeah, you can say launch this custom command from a prompt or whatever, but it's just cleaner as a skill because we can create a custom command that launches a skill, but that would be cleaner than a skill that launches a command, which will be annoying. Okay, so this repo, and let me see references. Where did I put the file? Oh, where it's a text file. No, it's here somewhere. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Um. Oh, come on. Where the hell are you? You're not there. Oh, why not put it in solutions? Okay, yeah, I got you. I got you. I got you. It's in the wrong place, but I got you. Um, because this is a skill itself. So let's do this. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So this project, we will be creating a skill that calls a council to look over 48's work at any stage user desires. I have a skill.md file to get us started, and we can brainstorm from there. Okay. Um, Off rip, I only want 55, 31p, DeepSeek for Pro Cloud, and that's through our Llama provider, and Kimi, Kimi K2.6 or K20 K26 um, on this console with options to add other models in the future. Like if we wanted to use 37 Max from Quinn, um, or we want to add 3.5 Flash, or any other model in the future. Um, which means we need to have a roster feature like team workflow. We could actually call this team console, but no, we'll keep it LLM console. Um, with redundancies, fallbacks, um, etc. Actually, no. Fallbacks, self improvement, workflows. I hate this because the workflows keyword launches this new feature um, called ultra code or whatever, etc. All right, let's brainstorm, and we'll check on our game. That's still cooking. Good. Runway. All right, so let's see how our video came out. All right. 1.5 megs. It's only 5 seconds. Whenever you're ready. Anytime. There you go. Why does it look so crappy? Why the pixelation? Because the memory. That's why. That's why. That's why. All right. We'll close that. I'm always out of memory. All right. That's fine. That did come out the way we want it. Yes and yes. So these are the defaults. So on and so forth. Okay. Everything is complete. Not on now. Only open item is my early. How should I clear the two test artifacts? Leave them be. All right. So now that our runway skill is done, we can now add this skill to another pipeline, right? We can add it to like an animation pipeline um, or whatever, right? There's a bunch of pipelines on GitHub that requires video and image generation solutions. We now have a solution to plug into that area. Test it on a real image to video from another project. No, we won't. Uh, let's see. We're going to save our memories. There's a lot of relevant prior art here and an important fork in the road that I need your input on. It's the Carpathy LLM council pattern, but implemented as a 5 Claude sub-agents wearing different. No, we will not. You want real distinct models? Yes. 55, Opus 4.8. What? 31p, DeepSeek 4. Yep. Actually being called as separate engines to review 48s. That's right. How should the cancel models 55, 31p DeepSeek 4 actually be invoked in runtime? Um, yeah, that's fine. I like that. We already have this feature. This is actually an extension with Pi. Just reuse that. It's already working. Pi is installed. No need to use tokens on recreating the wheel, reinventing the wheel. 55 is codecs. Oh boy, here we go. Oh boy, this is a bug. Codex is I'll show you all why this is annoying. I've gotten this issue, had this issue since using 4.8. Codex is GPT 5.5. If I run this prompt again, there again, can't really get out of this. I could have sworn I set a variable. Oh, that's probably because the variable was session only. Ugh. Okay. Let me start with updating. Well, I'll do that offline. Hopefully that doesn't happen here. That would make me sad because I kind of I didn't save it. I already wrote the memory files. All right, and so we'll log dump, which saves our entire conversational history here. And we'll kill this because that's done. 5E5F, same session, and we'll close this out. This here, compact, let's see if compact works. I don't think it would, nope, you cannot compact either. So when you receive this error, which is not my fault at all, this is an Opus 4.8 thing. Your session is pretty much dead. Now you could restart another session and then point your agent to your output file, which records. It doesn't record the entire conversation. It records the output tokens. The JSON-L file is kind of like a copy of the entire conversation. All right, and on here we're going to end it. Thank you all for coming. We will continue this tomorrow evening. Don't forget to hit that like button. I appreciate it. Y'all have a good night.